Hello and welcome back to EFD, where today we're looking at 10 of the most disappointing performances at this World Cup. 10. Manuel Neuer. The 2014 World Champions crashed out of the tournament in the first round following an extremely disappointing defeat to South Korea, who wrote their name in the history books as the first team to knock out Germany in the first round since the 1930s. The entirety of Joachim Löw's squad will face a wall of criticism, including out-of-form keeper Manuel Neuer. The 2014 Golden Glove winner was expected to sit on the sidelines in Russia after playing just 360 minutes of competitive club football this season. Having sustained a foot fracture in September, the 32-year-old managed to make a surprise return to full health to travel to Russia and push Barcelona's in-form Ter Stegen to the bench. A world-class stopper for the last decade, Neuer's woeful performances seemed to embody the Deutschland decline, as the tournament's holders looked out of new ideas as he made just 3.3 saves per 90, conceding 4 goals in 3 games. Goalkeeping errors in the final match versus South Korea as they desperately tried to save a point saw Germany land rock bottom of the group for the first time in 80 years. Bild described the tournament as the biggest disgrace in German World Cup history that the Bayern Munich stalwart has refused to call time in his international career. 9. Gonzalo Higuain. Argentina entered the World Cup with a squad bursting with attacking talent. Di Maria, Higuain, Dybala and Leo Messi had tickets to Russia with the luxury of leaving Icardi at home. Despite their treasure chest of individual talent, it was down to none other than Marcos Rojo to scrape them through the group stage, before being put out of their misery against France in the round of 16. Controversy over squad selection and managerial control clouded the Albiceleste camp. In a career that has stretched over 3 World Cups, since 2010 when he averaged a goal a game, his output in the competition has been dire. Over this World Cup, he provided 0 goals and 0 assists, despite averaging a goal contribution 0.8 times a game over his season in Serie A. While in 2014, when Argentina made it to the final, his form was equally underwhelming, with just 1 goal and 1 assist in 7 games. The 30-year-old looked lethargic, and just like 2014, when his one-on-one miss in the final was his most defining moment, all we're remembering from this campaign was the chance he floated into Row Z against Nigeria. 8. Cristiano Ronaldo. At 33 years old and 4 World Cups under his belt, surely it would be his last excursion into the tournament, and unfortunately for CR7, he couldn't replicate 2016 form and drag Portugal any further than the round of 16. Having made his debut in 2003, Ronaldo is now Portugal's record appearance maker and goal scorer, and his impressive hat-trick against Spain in one of the games of the tournament, along with a strike against Morocco, saw him replace Puskas as the most prolific European international of all time. But without a goal against Iran and firing blanks versus Uruguay, Ronaldo is without a goal in any World Cup knockout game ever, a remarkable stat for the big game player who averages 0.8 goals a game in the Champions League. Especially considering his position further up top, the 5 shots he took per game, only 2 were on target. Very out of character for CR7, and no doubt he'll be gutted to be out of the tournament. But at least Messi is too. 7. Gonçalo Guedes. While Ronaldo obviously carries the hopes of Portugal on his back, Gonçalo Guedes was an emerging force for Portugal ahead of this World Cup. But unfortunately for his home nation, he failed to live up to his lofty expectations. Valencia's top assist maker last season, Guedes couldn't replicate his La Liga form on the world stage, where he managed just 1 assist as Portugal crashed out prematurely. His confident dribbling, pace and eye for goal had him tipped as one to watch by pretty much every journalist in Europe. But the PSG loanee took only 0.5 shots on target per 90 minutes and offered 0 goals with just 1 assist. Ronaldo's disappointing form could have been exploited by the youngster, but Guedes proved the occasion was just too big for the 21-year-old. 6. Thiago Alcantara. When footballing giants of Italy and the Netherlands failed to qualify, potentially we should have predicted that this World Cup would see the footballing universe totally flip on its head as we prepare for a semi-final with Croatia and England. But even so, it was shocking to witness the class of Spain exit at the hands of Russia. And while it's difficult to place the blame in the squad where very few of them seem to even show up in Moscow, our spotlight is shining on Bayern Munich's Thiago. Joining the German side in 2013 for €25 million, the 27-year-old had 1.3 shots per 90 in the Bundesliga and contributed 2 goals and 2 assists from 12 starts in midfield this season. Playing just 94 minutes in the tournament, you'd be forgiven for forgetting Thiago was even present, after being suggested as Spain's secret weapon and the future of their ageing midfield. It's been safe to say he disappointed as he produced literally nothing to get excited about. Although really, blame can't be put at his doorstep, as uncharacteristic mistakes from Ramos and Piqué deserve more airtime. But 44 World Cup passes for someone we were all excited to watch just isn't good enough. 5. Robert Lewandowski. Poland's Robert Lewandowski was ready to finally make his mark on the World Cup after breaking records with 16 goals in qualification. In a group with Colombia, Japan and Senegal, Poland were expected to at least get into the knockout stage, but 2 losses later and they were out at the first hurdle. Lever has scored a huge 41 goals in all competitions for Bayern Munich, yet didn't contribute to any at the World Cup as Poland scored just 2 in 3 games. After suffering criticism for his lack of Champions League goals this season, the striker could have used the opportunity to silence his big game critics. Instead, chat has escalated after some major misses against Colombia and Japan. With just 1 shot on target in the biggest competition in world football, it's becoming increasingly difficult to focus solely on his excellent Bundesliga form. 4. Jerome Boateng. Jerome Boateng might have only managed to notch up 172 minutes of playing time at the World Cup, but he still managed to disappoint the German faithful. With 8 minutes separating his first and second yellow, Boateng saw red against Sweden in a personal performance that was branded a disgrace by pundits. The 28-year-old's defensive deficiencies saw his side go down to 10 men, but his critics argue that Die Mannschaft played better without him, as they managed to scrape a win over Sweden in his absence. The Bayern Munich regular has been shortlisted by Jose Mourinho to bolster up Man United's defence, and would be expected to cost over £50 million to bring him to the Prem. But we might see his stock dive after his disastrous tournament, in which he committed 2.5 fouls a game and lost the ball 1.5 times on average, 1.3 times per 90 more than at club level. Much like Neuer, Boateng admitted that the campaign had been nightmarish for the Germans, but he too has no intention of leaving the international setup. 3. Leo Messi. This tournament has been a nightmare for ones to watch, ones to expect and ones to predict, as we've seen some huge footballing nations collapse and the highest profile names underperform. A fate even unavoidable for the GOAT himself, who failed to guide Argentina out of the knockout stage. After 675 minutes of World Cup football without a goal, he scored his one and only against Nigeria in the group stage and produced a further 2 assists. So, not a terrible output for 4 games, but we just expect so much more from Messi. Following that penalty miss against Iceland and his performance in the 3-0 defeat against Croatia, you can see that Messi really has failed to make an impact. He made just 20 touches in the first half against Croatia, average of 1.5 shots per 90 minutes and 1 goal from 14 attempts. It was definitely a tournament to forget for the Barcelona legend. Whether or not the fault lies with Sampaoli for giving him Atlas-like power over the team is up for debate, and whether or not it's time for Messi to give up his international boots and leave room for Dybala to take the reins for the Albiceleste. 2. Thomas Muller. The third and final German on this list, Thomas Muller, was Mr. World Cup before this summer. The Golden Boot winner in 2010 with 5 goals and then lifting the trophy with Die Mannschaft 4 years later with another 5 goals, Muller has previously been unplayable in the tournament. Following another impressive campaign in Bavaria, Muller had contributed a direct goal involvement every game and an average of 2 key passes every 90 minutes. But unfortunately for the German and his teammates, even the most reliable players let them down. The 28-year-old provided just 1 shot on target for the entire competition, as Germany netted just twice out of 24 attempts. One of the most experienced in the Germany squad who had reportedly already booked their hotel for the final, Muller is one of the most shocking additions to this list. 1. Neymar. This tournament has seen star players almost hinder their home nations, with Messi's Argentina, Ronaldo's Portugal and Neymar's Brazil all exiting prematurely. The 5-time winners' exciting squad had them down as favourites, as Coutinho, Jesus and Neymar looked like they could samba all the way to the final. Unfortunately for the PSG superstar, his performance has been heavily criticised after using his time on the world stage to display his vast repertoire of play acting. Before the doomed quarter-final that saw Belgium outsmart the Brazilians, of 350 minutes on the pitch, Neymar had spent a huge 13 minutes and 50 seconds complaining, sulking and rolling around on the grass. An output of 2 goals and an assist added to his impressive 57 goals in 89 international caps. But more problematically, Neymar squandered chances and failed to lift his team how we all expected. Neymar had more attempts on goal than any other player in the tournament, despite being 4 goals behind Golden Boot frontrunner Harry Kane. Having completed more dribbles into the area than anyone else in the tournament, but also losing the ball more than any of his teammates, it seems his selfishness and his poor behaviour has hindered his nation rather than helped it. While Tite has defended his behaviour, it seems his monumental ego hasn't really helped his squad, and this tournament will be remembered for the embarrassing #Neymar challenge. Thank you for watching. That was top 10 of the biggest names who haven't performed in the tournament. What did you think? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're here, why don't you go over to FD as we're live for the watch along at 6:45 for the England game. Very nervous, but don't forget to like and subscribe.